Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Lucie Lederhendler. I'm the curator here at the Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, which is in Brandon, Manitoba, on Treaty 2 territory, lands that are traditionally shared by the Cree, the OG Cree, the Dakota, the Dene, and Anishinaabe peoples. It's also the homeland of the Red River Métis. Today, we have the third and final installment of our artist talks associated with the 19th annual member show. They've been such a treat so far. The member show is only up one more day. You have from until 5 today and from noon to 5 on Saturday to come see this 173 works on the walls by 70 different artists, give or take. So without further ado, anybody who is joining us online, you may know the drill. You might be your first time. You can engage with all of us at any time through the comment section of YouTube and Facebook, and we'll be able to respond to those questions live on the air. I think that's it. Without further ado, let me invite up Oreo, Jenna. Doug. Thanks so much for being here. Audiences might notice that we're missing Dominic, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today in the end. We will make do without him. There's a lot of great art to see, so let's get right to it. We're gonna have Oreo give us the first taste. Really, really different pieces. So we're just going to dive right in, starting with this abstract work with astronomy. We're two worlds apart. But why don't we start by introducing yourself, shall we?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me in this artist talk. I'm really grateful to do this again. This is my second year participating in this members show, and it feels really, really amazing to do it second time. And you can call me Oreo, and my real name is Daria Vaidya. It means patience in Hindi. And I'm studying at Brandon University. I'm in my third year right now. I'm doing Bachelor of Fine Arts and majoring in digital media and design. And I do paintings, digital art, sketches, portraits, mostly everything.
And you do a lot of social media as well, as part of your work as an artist, I think, huh?
Oh yeah, I also do make YouTube videos of my work and my workflow.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question that I'd like to get into with everybody, is how much work of self-promotion is involved in being an artist nowadays.
It is a lot.
Yeah. So it's astronomy. We're two worlds apart.
Yeah. So this piece was a part of my assignment. The assignment was to make an abstract painting. And I thought it would be very interesting to make a painting of a song. So I chose the song by Conan Gray. It's Astronomy, We're Two Worlds Apart. And that's part of a lyrics. And it's a sad song, but I was really inspired by it. And I wanted to express some of my internal feelings at that time. So this project was kind of like perfectly on time. And so I decided everything before starting the work, which was kind of not the goal of the assignment. My instructor, he advised me to be more free of the organization. I like to be in control when I make any artwork, and so I decide everything beforehand, like each and every step. So basically, that was it, and that was this assignment. So I chose the color palettes because the red and the green are opposites on the color wheel, and I wanted to show. Basically, the narrative goes like there's two people who are completely different personalities and who are literally living in different parts of the world. So when the two complementary colors mix together, they make a gray, and that's why I did the shades of gray in the middle. And then there's a lot of scratches and texture on it to show that there's hurt. There's a lot of context in the narrative. And then at the end, I painted my hand with golden, and I just scratched on the top of the canvas to show some hope.
Right. You can see, so we will see how meticulous you are in your practice most of the time. So this must have really been a stressful challenge for you.
It was, yeah. As I said, yeah, my instructor advised me to be more free of my being in control attitude with artworks. So that was a main challenge. And also because since childhood, when I started art, I was kind of more into realism and drawing everything with perspective and stuff like that. So abstract stuff is kind of my challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see some of that in the next one. So here in the exhibition right next to it, in order to give everybody a good sense of who you are, you submitted a digital video that you made as social media and marketing content, but also, I assume, to show this really massive piece that exceeded the size restrictions of the members show, which is 5 running feet. So you could include more by including this digital video. I'm just going to pop it on the stage here. Why don't you tell us about this?
Yeah, so basically, the project was to make a self-portrait on a 6 feet paper. It was the first project for our figure drawing class. That was my favorite class this term. I learned so much from it. And so in this project, we had to research an artist as well, any contemporary or historical artist, and then the guidelines were to make our self-portraits in the style of that artist. So basically, I chose the master painter in Renaissance, Caravaggio, and I decided to do the whole piece based on his style, which is chiaroscuro, with dramatic lighting and a lot of hidden context and hidden elements in the piece. And that was the whole idea. And there's a lot of narrative involved, and like it's a 15 minute video almost. And basically I also wanted to like express to the society that what kind of work is involved in art school. So I made this video and all the documentation of the process of drawing to show what is the workflow of an artist, what kind of assignments we get in art school, and just how much time it takes to do all of the work.
Right. I'm just going to put the link to the full video in the comments here so that people can watch from home.
And then the video includes everything from the research, the concept of the work, the title, and what works I chose of the artist for research. So you can hear the video and enjoy the process.
I want to skip forward. I'm doing too many things. Hold on. Okay, commented, and I want to skip forward so people can see this dramatic lighting as it's coming to kind of the end. So it's 3 self-portraits set in kind of a bedroom scene, right?
Yeah. So it's a bedroom scene, and there's also an element of time, which I love to include in my works. And the figure, which is semi-nude, is the real one in space. And then there's a reflection in a mirror, which is kind of a future self. And then the one on the left, a picture frame, that is one of my past self-portraits for an assignment as well.
And so you have the semi-nude, which is exuding a kind of feeling of fatigue and maybe self-doubt. And then
it's more of frustration, the low side of me. Basically, I also work at a restaurant, and then I work evening shifts. So when I come home from work, I'm very, very tired. And when I look myself in the mirror, I feel like should I stop art or should I just stop everything? And there's a lot of emotions going on. And at the end, I always tell myself to keep going and just become better version of myself.
Yeah, I think at the end of, I don't know the timestamp, but at the end of it, you go, I'm going to be a successful artist, right?
Yeah, we all will be.
Yeah, all of us, there's room for everybody. It's true. And tell us about the material that you used is also pretty interesting, right? It's just Bristol board.
It is actually poster board from Dollarama. I stuck eight poster boards or six poster boards together to make the whole 6 feet paper, and then I used the medium charcoal on it. So it kind of that was also a challenge because the charcoal didn't interact very well on the poster board compared to like a fine art paper like Stonehenge or cartridge paper or anything like that. So that was also a new experience. And I talk about all the challenges that I came across through the video.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So that's linked in the comments there. People, I encourage you to watch it or come on down to the gallery and have a peek if you want to stand there for 14 minutes and 14 seconds. Sorry. Too many. There we go. So also the other thing that people have to understand about doing this kind of content is that while you're working, you have to also be constantly considering the content that you're creating for YouTube. So all of these time lapses, you have to set up the camera every time you're about to start working, adding another thing to your to-do list after you've come home from the night shift at the gallery after having worked at the restaurant and in this style of work. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to create videos and like for YouTube and also to provide some value to the community to engage with all the other artists and all the emerging artists. So all the recording of the videos and then to transfer it to the whole editing software and to edit the whole videos yeah, that's a whole different vast process and it takes a lot of time basically.
Yeah. And on the total other side of both of these artworks, but kind of similar to the video, if the video is an artwork, is this piece.
Yes, so Sound of Silence is a digital painting that I did on my tablet. So basically, it does not have a whole narrative. It was just my personal work, but basically, I wanted to find a good wallpaper for my for my laptop, and I could not find one. And then I decided to make one, basically, and I painted this. And I just kind of went with the flow with whatever mood I was in, and then just painted this whole sunset scene.
Yeah.
Just
I want to
kind
give
of soothing and
a sense of the size of the print as well. Over there on the right, you can see, and it's printed on metal, right?
It is, yeah, it is printed on metal. Originally, I was going to order a canvas print for the exhibition, but then I thought maybe metal will be something unique and interesting. So,
and do you like it on metal?
I really like it on metal. I like how the colors pop and like the scale of it, basically. I really like that it's on a big scale.
So what do you use for your digital paintings?
I use the software called Adobe Fresco. So basically, I have the whole Adobe Creative Cloud membership. It includes all the Adobe softwares like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, which I use for video editing, and then Adobe Fresco, which I use for digital art. And there's also a free version as well for anyone who would like to try their hands on digital art. And it's super, super user-friendly, so I would recommend that.
So the reason that I called this so different from the other two pieces, because the other two pieces are so material. If you think of the video as the drawing, obviously the video is a video, which is a piece of digital art, but working with that charcoal, especially knowing that you were working on a paper that wasn't really grabbing it well, right? The effort that goes into painting it or to drawing something at that scale. and then the abstract painting that literally has your fingers crawling across it, as opposed. So what's your experience of the different kind of materiality of digital work? Because you seem to create as much physical as digital work, as though they're really not different in your practice, but there must be something that feels different.
Yeah, it does feel there's a lot of difference in traditional art and digital art, and basically both of them I enjoy the process either ways. And I just started learning digital art a while ago, and I noticed that because I have been doing traditional art since so many years, I kind of have the technical knowledge to like the color theory and then the what workflow I should use to make it easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like that makes a difference to know all of that knowledge beforehand, before trying digital art for the first time. So that was one thing. And then of course on digital art you just need a laptop or a drawing tablet basically and a good internet connection and just draw on it. So basically you don't have to set up everything in the art studio, like the paints, and then after you're done working, you also don't have to clear up everything. So all of that is really time consuming. And then in digital art, you can work in layers, and then you can always repeat whatever you don't want to do, like the undo button.
Right.
So that is
So
like heaven for
experimentation is a little
artists.
easier.
Experimentation is a lot easier. And then I also use it for making quick sketches or quick studies for my assignments. So basically, whatever I want to draw, I make it on digital first, just so that the process does not take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Thank you. Now we will move on around the corner in the gallery here to Doug Fraser and your work, Leapin' Lads.
Right. So this is you might think of it as abstract, but it's a moment in time and place. It's a memory I have of a few years back. I was leading a canoe trip down the Athabasca River from Jasper to Hinton. And for those of you that may know that area or that route, after an afternoon of paddling, we stopped on the shore to camp for overnight. And it was across from, if you're looking at a map at some point, a place called Bedson Ridge and Roche Ronde. Anyhow, the water there is very cold because the headwaters of the Athabasca are up in the ice fields, and ice is cold, and the water is cold, even in August. So anyways, these four young men, after a bit of discussion, they dared each other to take a plunge, leap into the water, and, show off your stuff, I guess, whatever. Anyhow, they did that, and I happened to be on the shore. I took a photograph, and that was that. Life went on, and then I went in, and it was painfully cold, let me tell you. But anyhow, this was in the days before digital. So a couple of weeks later, when I got my photographs back from being developed and printed, lo and behold, these four guys were actually up in the air. So it was one of those serendipitous photo moments where it just worked right without any good planning, But I thought at one point, well, that might make an interesting painting. Well, interesting to me anyways. So again, it takes a while to complete work sometimes. And I actually started this piece probably a few years ago, and then it sat parked, parked in the closet, parked in the studio. And then we moved to Brandon from Alberta. And so, anyways. And this year I just finally, as the member show was coming up, I thought maybe I better get this to a point where I could show it. So here we are. That's sort of a bit about the background of this piece. And it's acrylic. It's all acrylics, right? And much of it is done with glazing technique. So there would be multiple layers of transparent color with obviously some direct painting here and there. Let's see, I'm not sure what else I can tell you about that, but those are a few thoughts.
Well, we do have a video where we get to watch your glazing technique. Shall we pop that on?
Sure. Okay. That was a video that was done by WCG-TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
in my studio.
WCG-TV. We're just using
Yeah.
a little clip of it.
Yeah.
So people watching from home might have seen it on the TV as well. So let's pop it on.
Yeah. More color on this sky area. And because I work very fluidly and I'm working with heavy bodied acrylics, and that's what's in this palette here, I'll normally wet the canvas down a bit first, spritz it down, and so that when I start to paint on it, the paint is working on a dampened canvas. And again, normally you don't want to add too much water or very much water to acrylics. If you want to thin them, you want to use what's called medium, and it's an acrylic medium that's meant for thinning them. You don't want to have any more than about maximum 25% water in acrylics, because you can compromise the final film that occurs when they dry. So what I'm doing now is I'm mixing in a little bit of medium with that water I put down. So what I'm doing is I'll be painting with my color into the diluted medium, right? So it keeps it all very fluid. So let's say I'm working basically with a series of blues here. Let's say I want to use a little bit of this manganese blue, which is one of my favorite blues. It's a very transparent blue, but let's just say I'm going to lay down a bit more here. And it's just a matter of then trying to lay down more color. And you can see that it is gradually, because it's a thin film of transparent color, it's just starting to make what is already there just a tiny bit darker. But I want to keep it fluid and minimize the appearance of my brush strokes. I want to have something that doesn't show a lot of brush strokes in the end. And sometimes you have success and sometimes you don't. But this is just one way then of trying to lay down a little bit of color. And I'm going to add into this, just in one part of the zone, a little bit of ultramarine violet, just because I think that might be a nice thing to do, maybe over in this area. And it'll start to change the nature of the underlying color there. Now you got to work fairly quickly with acrylic, because they do tend to dry, and even when they're fairly wet and fluid like this, they can start to dry and start to get tacky on you, in which case you want to stop messing around with them and stop moving the paint around. So we'll just stop there with that part. And now I want to go and just trace along this dark area and just sort of maybe wipe off some of the overpainting that happened on this particular place.
I'm going to pop this detail up so we can see exactly where you were finishing up. And it's so interesting, I think, you taking the kind of new technology of acrylic paint and figuring out how to replicate the old new technology of oil paint that allowed exactly that glazing technique.
Right. And it's a bit more of a challenge, because with oils, of course, they dry so much more slowly. You can move it around and work it for hours or days sometimes, depending. Whereas this, you can't. You're basically working dry on dry.
Yeah. And you can see how physical it is as well with the painting on the floor. You have to do those big swaths in order to get more pigment down. My favorite part was when it panned back and these guys were all so transparent as well, eh?
Right. Well, they were probably the most challenging part of the thing, the figure part, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I think with humans, we can always recognize where there's a flaw in the design. right?
Yeah,
So we're
that's
looking
right.
harder
Yeah.
than a mountain,
Right, right. There's
so
no
I didn't,
forgiveness in the mountains.
I didn't notice the glare on this. So for people watching from home, that little white thing in the center right is just a glare, not part of the painting. I always forget to, after the first person, ask you to tell us all who you are,
Right.
which I want you to, because I know that you have not always been artist primarily. You come from quite the opposite discipline.
Right. Well, I can give you a bit of background. Basically, I'm a self-directed learner in a sense. I haven't been to art school, not in an official way. My academic background was engineering, and I studied metallurgical engineering, and then I worked. That's how I earned my bread for many years, one way or another. I won't go into those details, but that was my technology background. And I had a corresponding interest in art, and I've had an interest ever since I was a child, a teenager. And as I tell people, I did a lot of drawing when I was a teenager. And then when I became a man, I put away childish things, meaning got on with life, right? And basically was one of those people who was told, well, you can't make a living with the arts. So, it affects the trajectory that a person takes. Mm-hmm. But a couple of decades ago, I discovered watercolor painting, and anyways, went down the road through watercolor painting, pastels, paper making, and then I discovered acrylics. And basically, they're my default medium now. But I basically like to work with water-based media, drawing media, and I also do a little bit of digital. I've been working in digital a little bit, mostly for my own personal entertainment. But I do enjoy some of the tools that digital gives us, that haven't been available in prior eras. So, and we're relatively newcomers to Brandon. We came here about four and a half years ago from Alberta. So still the new kid on the block in one sense, even though I may not look like the new kid.
Yeah. New to the members, some of whom have been with us for decades now, for sure. But we're happy to have you in the member show every year since I've been here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate the arts community in Brandon that been able to meet. And when I was in Alberta, I was part of the arts community in St. Albert where we were living, and so it's an important part of my own life and connection.
Yeah, well, we're happy to be a part of it as well. Yeah, great. Any questions for Doug? Again, you can type anything that you'd like to into the comment section at any point. If not, then we'll truck along to Jenna, who only put one piece in the member show, but does have some pieces up in the gift shop, I think, if people want to keep the tour going afterwards. So you have this cheeky little pig. Why don't you tell us about her?
Well, this one was actually like a year-long work in progress. I had initially started it beginning of this year, and honestly, to begin with, I felt pretty uninspired when I had first started. I was actually very sick at the time, and I wound up having surgery, some major surgery done in October, because I have some chronic diseases. And so after that surgery, I found myself starting to feel better and starting to, I guess, be more inspired, and like not only painting wise, just in life, like more active, more, gardening. So this is kind of a little bit, it became like, I don't want to call it a self-portrait because it's a piggy, but at the same time, kind of, sort of, because essentially it's just kind of coming out of that funk from being chronically ill and having that reprieve, being able to, I guess, fly, being able to get out there and do the things you want to do. In this case, well, very clearly I've represented my gardening. I'm a big time gardener. So, and like have since expanded this past summer, thanks to having more energy because of the surgery I had, and hopefully I can continue to feel that way as years go by. And yeah, think
Yeah.
that's it.
I love that background because, right, a flying pig is a symbol of optimism, right? It means that something that could never happen is suddenly possible. And I love the context of, when your health is not good, it's very difficult to have any future thinking. And when your health is not good, suddenly you appreciate good health in a way that you never really can without the alternative. So, a pig would never know that it wanted to fly except for given the opportunity, right? Yeah. Let me show some details here as well.
Yeah, so this one was also acrylic, also a big acrylic lover here. Definitely my medium of choice always. I tried to be more imperfect with this one too. Like I always find myself, I get flustered with my backgrounds and I give up and go more abstract. And not that going abstract is giving up, but there's a little more freedom in it. But this time, well, sometimes there is, but this time I decided I was just going to go for it. And no matter how it turned out, it was just going to be.
So you did choose a more realistic color palette than I think of you generally using. Like you're often really adding a lot of rainbow tones into things. Does that have something to do with the length of time it took you to create this?
Yes. And also, maybe it's because I was thinking kind of more in terms of like what's going on with me reality wise. And I wanted the pig at the very least to appear slightly more real than the rest, because like it's a representation of, realizing, it's a representation of being yourself and realizing that you could go further. You could, move on and be able to experience things better in life. Sorry, that was a bit jumbled.
Well, yeah, that potential, that appreciating, it's gratitude plus potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flying pig. And I think that also it's an interesting choice because it's magical subject matter. So I'm thinking about like your bees with an abstract background and this much more vibrant. It's a bee and it looks like a bee. This is a flying pig, and so bringing it down into something with more that's more based in reality, is an interesting choice for you. And also, so this is also not a very large painting. I don't know if you ever do really paint large. Is that a space constraint or a preference?
No, sometimes. I've found lately the smaller the better for me lately. I don't know why, it's just become a preference lately, but I mean, I've gone big before too, and but yeah, just it's kind of just, I don't know if it was a particular like choice, but just kind of, I guess, what I'm in the mood for right now.
Great. So intuitive. Once again, I forgot to have you introduce yourself because I always want to jump right into the art, but why don't you tell us about your art practice?
Okay, so I'm an acrylic painting artist. That's what I prefer to work in and specialize in. I like to dabble in other things, but that's my main thing. I love it because it's A, so forgiving, and B, I love layering. I love the practice of layering, and yes, there's layering in other art forms too, but I just find this acrylic to be more forgiving. And yeah, more about me. I am a gardener, obsessed with gardening. So I've been trying to add more of that into my art. And as you know, with my animal portraits, like I love nature. I'm a nature lover too. And so yeah, that's also why, I've been starting to add more and more things like that into my art. And yeah, lastly, I also am lucky enough that in my job as a hairstylist, I get to, have a little bit of art time there. Hairstyling to me can be very much an art form. no matter what you're doing, you're always doing something different, and you do have to use that creative brain sometimes. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anecdotally, I guess, yeah, all my hairstylists are deeply artistic people. And I think it's about that, first of all, the let's see what happens impulse, and then knowing that you need skills in order to make it, in order to have some control about the positive benefits, positive outcomes.
You got to learn before you can break the rules. Absolutely.
Yeah.
in hairstyling, especially, but
yeah, for sure. I think I had forgotten about you, that you were a hairstylist. Interesting. All right. So let's open it up to everybody. I guess, since I already teased this question in the beginning, what do we think about this arts community in Westman, Manitoba, and the need to do more than just create art in order to be an artist, right? We're talking about marketing. We're talking about memberships to art galleries, promotion, documentation, all of that. Jenna, we've heard from Oreo already, but what about you? So you do sell art, and you're also a hairstylist?
Yeah, I find myself, I do struggle with regards to promoting my art online, especially. I find I need, personally, myself, I need to get better at doing that, giving more updates, and but I think it is a really good tool, nowadays, especially if you can promote yourself online. Like, of course, that's where everybody is these days, is online, right? So, and there's so many different platforms you can promote your art onto as well. And I know I have my Facebook page, and I have a little website and like a TikTok account, but I wish that I had more motivation to do more posting on there. But I've often told people, I'm not a videographer or photographer. I'm a painter, but hopefully, eventually, I can start to get better at that. I've been trying as years go on to do better.
Well, I think there's skill and motivation, but also I'm going to put Oreo on the spot, as we talked about, just so much time. Sorry, it's me. Go ahead. So much extra scheduling that you have to do, right?
Yeah. I would just like to add that also, as you said, in the current world, a lot of artists need to grow their social medias in order to get recognized by museums, by curators, and by every important art, like the art community in general. And the thing is, for emerging artists, it's really difficult because they don't really get support as they need from family, from friends. And so, like, there are people who support you, like, emotionally and mentally, but like to share your work online. So basically, we're living in a 3-second world, and the attention span of everyone is decreasing continuously. And in the world of TikTok Reels and Shorts, you need to grab the audience attention in the first 3 seconds in order to get a recognition and attention from the audience. So it is really difficult for the artists to do that.
So you're talking about building a community, having eyes on your work, just as the ultimate goal of that, as a necessary.
Yeah. And also, like, there are so many artists that I know, they are so skilled and they deserve so much recognition, but maybe they don't have the resources, or maybe they don't have people who support them as much. And it's just very unfortunate that we can share so much cringe content online, but we cannot share something that provides value to the community, and something that's really so much effort for.
Yeah. Scaredy Crats Club. Says Kate, who's also a gift shop artist. Yeah, there's definitely a vulnerability to it. I was thinking about that a lot during your video, Oreo, of 3 self-portraits being self-filmed and then self-commented on. Like, that is a lot of putting yourself just right out there. Hey.
Yeah, totally. I've realized that a lot of my current work is more self-referential and more of self-portraits in general. And also, if it's not a self-portrait, then I'll be using myself as a model to make the art. So I don't know. It's just the way it is, I guess.
But I mean, so responding to Kate's comment about the opposite of scared is brave, right? If we think of it in that case, is there a way that you work through it? I know you've told me before that you used to be quite shy, and now you're teaching and putting yourself out there in this way. Was there some journey?
If I say what motivates me, then I like before coming to Canada, I was really shy, and I did not used to talk a lot. Like if you're sitting with me, then in 1 hour I will just listen to you and not speak anything. And basically that was me. And now I feel like I'm more confident speaking in person with anyone, even if the person is a stranger, online as well, on like the spontaneity aspect of it. And I feel like that happened because I engaged with the community a lot, like going to artist talks like this, going to exhibitions, openings, and just being involved in it. So I think just having that leap of faith, like making that leap of faith, that's all it is.
Yeah. Nothing terrible has happened yet.
Nothing terrible has happened yet.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that could happen? You'll just be embarrassed in public, but then
just be awkward.
You'll also grow. So
yeah. So Doug, as far as I know, the way that you share what you do is through kind of email updates, right? You send.
Well, yeah, I have not been a very aggressive marketer of my works over time. And prior to coming to Manitoba, I probably gave more stuff away or donated it to charitable causes and things. Although I also I have done and am doing some commissioned works. For many years, I also had a website, which, as it turns out over time, the technology for it became obsolete and no longer could be maintained. So I discontinued that. But in the last year, I basically have a small gallery now on buyartprints.ca. So again, that's a website through which giclées can be selected and chosen and sold. So I do have a Facebook account and things, but I'm not that active on it. So I can't say that I'm marketing myself through that world, right? Just a matter, there seems to be too many other things in life to do to spend all my time online. But I understand that if you're going to be successful commercially in the arts, marketing and the business side takes at least as much, if not more effort than even the creative side, you know. And so it's like any business, you really have to put the time and effort into it. And fortunately or unfortunately, in my case, I didn't have to do that. You know, I had other sources of income from the work I did, but it was not artistic in that sense, right? Didn't mean you didn't have to be creative, but it wasn't.
You didn't have to market yourself for it anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's a little different circumstance than maybe Oreo and
I
mean,
there's a link to anybody who's self-employed.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. No, for sure. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. So I always respect people who really have made the commitment to go and do their marketing and one way or another, either do it themselves or you have a manager, however you do it. There's many different ways of doing that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. I'm going to ask one more question unless there's anything from our watchers. Reminder that you can engage with us anytime. And it's about acrylic because you have 3 acrylic painters here, kind of diehard acrylic painters. And I've never been able to do any of those water-based things because it just dries, except for maybe black ink, but it just dries way too fast for me. This idea of being forgiving that Jenna kept using and talking about the layering. The piece that's serving as our background here is a close-up of a piece by Dominic, who again sadly couldn't be with us. It's also acrylic, and you can see in the borders there that texture, that layering, but also the just unmediated saturation of those colors while maintaining that texture is something that would be very, very difficult to do in oil. And the colors are all very, very important for all 3 of you. So I don't have a specific question. I'm somebody who's never been able to work with acrylics because it's way too fast for me. And we have 3 people here who sing the praises of acrylics. Talk to me a little bit about the trial and error that you've gone through. I'll go to Doug first because I know that you played with oil.
It's mostly trial and mostly error. Well, I'm being a little facetious, but like any medium, you have to get to know it. And that's the case. Even if it's oils, right? You still have to get to know it, right? And yeah. What can I say?
All right. Well, let's pop it over to Jenna then. Talked about being more forgiving. I find it just the exact opposite.
So I wanted to mention, like what was said there, about getting to know your medium. There are some things that can actually stretch the life of your acrylic as you're painting it, make it last longer in regards to make it last longer, not dry up as fast. I know the one that I really like is the Slow Dry Medium by Liquitex. So if you're looking to ever dabble and explore, definitely check into that because it does extend the life and make it, like you said, not dry up as fast. But yeah, I just find as far as forgiving goes, I guess, yeah, it's just getting to know your medium and learning what bounds you have to abide by, like in regards to acrylic, like if, like in my case, like with my art here, smaller brush strokes, don't put too much paint on the brush as you're going, and stuff like that. Trying to think of what else I could say. A big one is just, finding stuff, like we got it right here actually. The Slow Dry Liquitex. And I know there's like a lot of others out there that are very mixable for acrylic, and that's another reason why I love acrylic, and it's very mixable. And the brightness, of course. But I think that's all I've got.
I think my big struggle is that I've never learned to mix paint on a palette. I always mix on canvas, right? So
okay, yeah,
always. I haven't painted in like 15 years. I'm gonna zero in on Oreo's just intensely textured acrylic piece here about how this couldn't be really achieved with oil, right? It would become muddy. It would dry in 2 years, right?
Okay, so for me as well, I do have a preference for oils more than acrylics. I have done oil painting before. Like the thing is, I learned oils before acrylics, so maybe that's why I have that preference.
Mm-hmm.
But when I like both of them. I like both of them because when I want to work faster, then I would work with acrylics. because it dries faster, and then like you can do more like quantitative work in acrylics as opposed to oils. But then when I want to blend colors with like very soft gradient, then acrylics just does not do that job very well as oils. So there's a lot of difference between them. But when I say to like there's a lot of mediums that you can use to be more in control with acrylics. So like there's a retarder medium that you can use to like slow down the drying process of your paint, and then there's other mediums as well, like the modeling paste to make the paint more textured, which is what I have used in this painting. A lot of modeling paste with mixed with the paint, modeling paste mixed with the paint to make that whole textures, and then I used things like the end of the paintbrush to make that texture, and then my hands as well.
So all three of these pieces are acrylic on canvas, but that's not necessarily what you guys always paint on. So Kate's wondering if you had a preferred surface.
Well, you can
go first. Sorry,
go ahead. I was going to say you can paint on anything virtually. You know, for me, the default would be canvas and stretched canvas in particular. But you can paint acrylics on pretty much anything. And so it's quite flexible in that sense. And I was just going to say, with respect to, painting in acrylics or, I have to remind myself every time, and I think it's not going where I want it to go. I stop and think it's only paint, right? That's all it is. It's just paint, and try to be non-judgmental about it, because it's only paint. You can cover it up. You can work it in. You can do something with it. And that's part of the so-called problem solving, I think, that we do as artists all the time when you're being creative.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to shut down the conversation.
No, you didn't. That's what I'm here for. Remember.
Yeah, you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say.
Sorry.
I'll just add maybe that like there's a lot of technical knowledge involved while painting. Oils or acrylics or watercolors for that matter. So it's if you're new to if anyone is new to any these mediums, then it will take some time to get hold of like what amount of water you need to use to mix paints, to blend the paints, and then to do like the highly detailed parts, and then to do something that's far in the background, like in this image, the edges of the mountains. So basically all of that would take some time to know, and just trial and error, as Doug said.
And there's a lot of online resources that are available too, that I've often referred to. And the paints I normally use, I've defaulted to Golden Paints. Well, there's a huge amount of information on their website that's useful, and also would be transferable to other brands. But yeah, in addition to, in-person contact with other artists and people. Yeah.
That's yeah. I was just looking at this particular detail and thinking of Honoré Daumier, and how important it is to look at art that you like and look at how pigment is applied, and then figure out how to apply it that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I say, as somebody who teaches art history to visual artists. Yeah.
We could take some lessons from you.
You have to look at this. You have to look at this art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenna, any last words before we wrap up?
Oh, what else can I say? They pretty much said it, I'd have to say. I think, well, preferred medium is, I also have to agree, stretched canvas is my favorite, but I've worked on lots of stuff before. Actually, my latest project has been my door. I've been using all my leftover paint on my door, and it's working great. So definitely not a traditional canvas, but still makes good fun.
Makes good fun. The differences are in texture. Oh, show us, says Kate.
Okay, I gotta like unstrap you guys from here then.
Take us on a trip. Let me.
Okay. Try not to show you my messy art room here, but okay. Let's see if I can flip it or. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can get you all it in here.
Oh my goodness.
Cool.
Oh, that
There
is
it is.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of my projects. Yeah, I tend to.
Trying to make you
That's what I like to do with the leftovers. Is all. That's my easel, and well, there's another easel behind there, and like my desk is all painted and everything because I don't like to waste.
Oh, that's exactly what. It's exactly what we all hoped your studio looked like. Just painted edge to edge.
Maybe it'll be more colorful next year. We'll see.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, that's a lovely. I think that the theme of this one was the joy of painting, and it's always lovely to get a little insight into the struggles that have to occur in order to create something that elicits, that makes us think, that makes us feel that much joy, right? In letting go, of capturing a perfect moment of optimism. So I thank you all so much. You have a day and a half left to see the member show. It's going to close at 5 o'clock tomorrow. We're open from noon to 5, December 16th, and until 5 today, December 15th. Thank you all so much for being so generous with your time and your work, and being an AGSM member who submits to the show. It's really been a pleasure getting to know all of you over the past couple of years. So with that, I'll say have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Lucie. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you so much.
Oreo. See you.
Bye. See you guys.